Hey everybody, NecroVMX here, and this is the kind of video I've kind of wanted to do for a while, and a couple of people have asked me a lot of questions about this subject, and I thought I might do a video on it to really fully explain everything about it. As a lot of you guys know, I'm a comic book fan, particularly a fan of DC Comics, and very particularly a fan of Green Lantern. For a while, it was the only comic book I read, was Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps. My enthusiasm for the characters rubbed off on some people. Some people have said, it looks cool, but where do I start and how do I get into it? Well, I'm going to address that, as well as questions about the Blackest Night. That's a big event comic that DC is doing right now that involves all their characters, but especially the Green Lanterns. And the thing about Blackest Night that seems to throw everybody is all the different colors that are involved. There's not just Green Lanterns, but yellow and blue and red and indigo and violet and all that. There's a whole bunch of different colors, and then there's black and white in there, too. Well, I'm going to go through all the colors and kind of explain what it means. As you know, there's a spectrum to colors, kind of like a rainbow, and people think of it as Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. For the longest time, ever since the 60s, the only one thing we knew about was the Green Lanterns, and we knew that they use their power by forcing their willpower into their power ring, and then they can pretty much do anything if they have enough willpower. Now, a long time ago, it was explained that the Guardians, who have blue skin, their innate energy was blue, and that there is a yellow impurity in the central battery where all the Green Lanterns get their power, which is why the Green Lantern's power doesn't work on anything yellow. Blue plus yellow equals green. DC has kind of discarded that, and there's no longer a yellow impurity. Actually, the yellow impurity turned out to be something completely different. I don't want to get too much into that because it's kind of a long story and it involves a lot of reading to really catch up on it. But all you need to know is that right now the Green Lantern's rings work on yellow just fine. They do have their strengths and weaknesses, and Green Lanterns who are new to their power will sometimes have troubles with the color yellow. But the veterans, no problem at all. It's just a thing that's not done anymore. Anyway, other colors were introduced eventually. One character was the Star Sapphire, one of the earliest villains in the Green Lantern universe, who wore a purple costume. She later turned out to be a member of his Violet Corps, the Star Sapphires, but that's more of a recent thing. Sinestro, the main villain of the Green Lantern series ever since the 60s, has always used a ring that uses yellow energy, and that's why Green Lantern always had such a problem with him, because his ring didn't work on anything yellow until recently. Recently, as in a couple of years ago, Jeff Johns, the writer of Green Lantern, came up with the whole idea of the Sinestro Corps, where Sinestro came up with a whole corps in yellow rings and everything, and there was just as many of them as there were of Green Lanterns, and they had a big war. And then at the end of it, they suggested that there would be more colors to follow. So with the Sinestro Corps and the Green Lanterns, we've since seen the rise of the Star Sapphires, the Red Lanterns, Agent Orange, the Blue Lanterns, and soon enough, the Indigo Tribe. Well, let me talk about them. Let me talk about how to get into the character and the mythos. Basically, it's all science fiction. If you're into science fiction, you should be into this. The colors are represented by, well, actually what they represent is different emotions. Like this yellow button I have that says fear, and this red one that says rage. See? Rage. I have a bunch of others, but I don't have all of them with me. Green represents willpower, and that's the Green Lanterns. If you want to read about the current Green Lantern's origin, you'll want this book, Secret Origin. Everything's pretty much collected all nicely, so that's pretty cool. If you want to read something that will start off the new series for you and get you into the spirit of things, check out this one, Green Lantern Rebirth. That's a must-have. The Sinestros, or the Yellow Lanterns, they're based on fear. Now, basically, Sinestro has been around for a long time, but if you want to get caught up to speed, the best thing to do is to read the Sinestro Corps War. Unfortunately, the Sinestro Corps War was a pretty long storyline, and it's spread out over 3 books. Here's Sinestro Corps War Part 1, here's Part 2, and this is Tales of the Sinestro Corps, which had all the tie-ins and such. You don't really need that one, but these 2 are mandatory. Jeff Johns has said that Rebirth and Sinestro Corps War were the first 2 parts of an epic trilogy he had planned for the characters, with Blackest Night being the third. So these are definitely mandatory. The Red Lanterns, which are based on rage, like I showed you here, you'll want to read this, Rage of the Red Lanterns. It also collects a storyline called the Alpha Lanterns, which lets you know what's going on with the green guys. It also introduces the Blue Lanterns, as you can see here. Blue Lanterns. The Orange Lanterns were introduced in a recent storyline called Agent Orange. Here's two of the issues right there. There's actually only one Agent Orange. Orange represents avarice, or greed, and that's why there's only one, because he keeps the power all to himself. Blue, by the way, represents hope. The way they interact with each other is interesting. The Blue Lanterns superpower the Green Lanterns when they're around them, because will is that much stronger when there's hope behind it. But without Green Lanterns around, the Blue Lanterns are practically helpless, because what good is hope without the willpower to back it? There's a lot of neat little things like that. The yellow guys get drained just by being near the blue ones, because hope drains away fear. If you want to read about the Star Sapphires, they mostly appear in Green Lantern Corps, and the best place to look is this book, Sins of the Star Sapphire. The Star Sapphires themselves aren't really in it all that much. It's mostly the Green Lanterns and the Sinestro Corps, but they do figure into the story pretty importantly. If you want to get a quick catch-up on some of the most important characters of Blackest Night and the War of Light, you'll want to get this 3-part series, Blackest Night, Tales of the Corps, which, as you see, comes out nicely. Here you can see Saint Walker, one of the main characters in the first Blue Lantern ever appeared, Larfleeze, who is also known as Agent Orange, Sinestro, leader of the Sinestro Corps, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern of Earth, Star Sapphire, or Carol Ferris, the main Star Sapphire, Atrocitus, the original Red Lantern, and Indigo of the Indigo Tribe, which have yet to actually make an appearance. So far, Blackest Night has just started. Here's issue 0, issue 1, and issue 2. There's eventually going to be 8 of them, and there's all sorts of tie-ins such as Green Lantern itself, Green Lantern Corps, Blackest Night Titans, Blackest Night Batman, Blackest Night Superman, and such. But if you want to get into the characters, this is all you need. There's also some other Green Lantern books that I didn't talk about, which are just main issues of the main series, such as No Fear, Revenge of the Green Lanterns, Wanted Hal Jordan. Basically, those are just filler issues. They're great to read, but basically, if you want to get into the character, read these. Rebirth, Secret Origin, Sinestro Corps War, and Rage of the Red Lanterns. If you read all those, you'll pretty much be caught up. It can be a lot of reading, but thankfully, these handy little collected editions can be pretty cool. So, hopefully that helped you and maybe got you into the spirit of things, and maybe you'll check out Blackest Night, or look into some of the Green Lantern books that are out there. There's a lot more of them, and there's a lot of mythos behind the characters, such as he used to be a bad guy at one point in the 90s, and there's the whole parallax thing and whatnot. Don't let all that confuse you, because really, honestly, Green Lantern Rebirth is the greatest jumping on point. And even then, you could probably start with Sinestro Corps War if you didn't want to. But, like I said, if you want to get into Blackest Night and not read anything else, the best place to start is Rage of the Red Lanterns. As you can see, it says Prelude to Blackest Night at the bottom. There's a bit of backstory that you won't get too much, but it's not too bad. As you can see, there are a lot of Green Lantern books, and this is nowhere near all of them that I have. There's all the Green Lantern Corps and all the old stuff, but I'm a big fan. And if you wanted to hear it from a big fan kind of explain everything to you, there it is. So remember, red, rage, orange, greed, blue, hope, yellow, fear, green, willpower, indigo, compassion, and violet, love. There's a whole lot of things with the way they interact, and they have different powers. They're not all the same. But I can't really get into it too much. I just wanted to do an overview to show you what these characters are like and what kind of reading there is out there if you're interested in getting into them. So, MicroVMX out.